Hey, I'm Ayush Priyank. I run a startup called Verve School where I help young students get placed and start earning a lot of money. And the reason for this presentation is basically to give you an idea about how exactly the process works and help you out with this. So, to start off with, man, I really want to thank you first of all for trusting me with your time, your attention. I know, in this world where we have so many things to do, it's a commitment to focus on one thing, but I really want you to just, give me your focused attention for just these 20 minutes, and I promise in return I'll give you something really valuable in exchange. And the way I've designed this training is that you don't need to join my program or work with me in order to benefit from this, right? So think of it like a map. You're in a desert and you're looking for water, right? Water here is a good opportunity where you're making a lot of money and having a good life. And what I've done is basically I've created a map on how you can get to the water, how you can land an opportunity. And on the side, what I also do is I have a business where I provide camels. So if you work with me, I can hop you onto that camel and I can take you to the water faster. But whether you choose to work with me or not, ultimately, what I can promise you is that at the end of this training, you're going to be able to make a more informed decision because you will know what sort of opportunities are there for freshers that can lead to a lot of money. So let's get this started, right? The training is divided into a couple of sections. And so, first of all, we're going to start off with who this is for because ultimately, this is not for everyone, right? And the sooner you realize whether or not this training is actually relevant for you, the better sense it makes, right? I don't want you to go through the entire training and then be like, oh, this is actually not the right thing for me at all. I just wasted my time. I don't want you to experience that. So, in a couple of minutes, we'll start off with the first section, which is who is actually meant for. Then the second thing is what exactly will you get? What is the exact outcome that you can get through this training, right? How much effort it will take, what the timeline would like look like, all those things we'll cover there. The third section is how will you get there? What is the process that we use? And the fourth section is how can you get started, right? Whether you want to work with us or whether you want to go do it by yourself, how can you actually get started with all this? So with that said, makes sense, right? Clear enough? All right, so let's get started. So the first thing is who is this for really? And initially I thought anyone who has good English communication and a graduation degree can use this opportunity to make a lot of money, right? It made sense. This is the eligibility criteria. If you have communication skills, if you have a graduation degree, that's it. That's all you really need to get started. And when I started working with a lot of people, I've trained, almost 100 people till now, and I've realized that it's not actually for everyone. That's an oversimplification. Just a graduation degree in English communication is not enough. So a couple of things that I've realized, there's two levels to this, right? So first is the superficial level, which is like the upper layer. If you're looking to build a career in non-tech and you want to make a lot of money, then this is probably a right fit for you. At the same time, if you're not looking for a career in non-tech, if you want to build a technical career, or if you have a very specialized aim, right? If you want to be a CA, a lawyer, a doctor, a software developer, if you have a very specific career path already in mind and you don't want to consider anything else, this is not going to be helpful for you. So if you're one of those people, this is the time where you can make an exit because, as I said earlier, I don't want you to waste your time. The second thing I realized that even if let's say you're looking to build a career in non-tech, you want to make a lot of money, you have good English communication, you have a graduation degree, ultimately that's still not enough. And the reason I say this is because I was on a call with a person recently and I asked her, what exactly are you expecting to make right now? What opportunities do you have right now? And she said, I'm expecting to make 10,000 per month. I'm like, okay, like I can get you 10x of that. I can get you to 1 lakh per month. And so let's discuss this how it works and all. She's like, are there any charges? I'm like, you don't have to pay anything to get started, right? Like after you get your salary, then the charges happen. So, let's discuss that after you understand the program. And she's like, no, thank you. I'm not interested in, spending any money for any sort of thing. And that reminded me of a video I actually saw a couple of weeks ago where there's this guy. and he has a bag and he's asking a stranger, okay, how much would you pay for this bag? Right? Would you pay $1,000 for this bag? So the stranger is like, no, I wouldn't pay $1,000. Doesn't look like $1,000 worth bag to me. So he's like, yeah, that's what most people do, right? They say, no, I wouldn't pay that much money. They don't ask what's inside the bag. And that's the difference between the middle class and the rich people. Like the middle class are just like, okay, it's expensive, won't go for it. And the rich people are like, okay, what will I actually get? Because if inside the bag is, $10,000, then it makes sense to pay $1,000 to get that bag, right? But anyway, it's more than just being afraid of spending because the sort of structure we've worked, you don't even actually need to spend anything to get started. It's like there are some people who are looking for adventure. They're looking to make something great in their life. And maybe they don't know what exactly it is, but there's a itch inside them. Like, I don't want just this, right? They have some dreams they've had since childhood, and now that they're into real life, right? Now they're out of college, they're supposed to make a living and they're supposed to do something with their life. They're like, okay, everybody's doing this thing, but it seems so boring. It seems like a dead end, like, getting a normal job, 30K, 35K, working for 2 years, getting to maybe 50K or something, then continuing that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? There is no good and bad, right? Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just that some people are fine with it. And if you are someone who's like, yeah, man, if I'm 26 and making 50, 60 grand, what's the harm, right? I'm happy. I want to, build my family. I want a nice, quiet life. That's great. I don't think this program is going to be the right fit because what we're working for, who we're working with, are adventure seekers, people who want something more in their life, right? And who have a very strong desire to get away from that ordinariness of everything. Because everything is so dull, right? Like we've stopped feeling the things we really want and we've replaced that with fiction. So we want to be champions in real life, but we're not. We're just normal people. And so we go to movies and we watch all these people who are champions. We want to be cool, we want to be rock stars, we want to be living an amazing life, but we're not. So we listen to these rock stars who are talking about having money and doing all these cool things. And we imagine and we, fantasize about being that person, but we're not actually that person. And it's this whole culture, this whole air of, toxic practicalness sort of thing, right? Where it's like, okay, this is the only thing that can happen, and just make peace with it, settle for whatever you're getting, and just keep on going. And I don't really believe in that. And everything I'm doing really is to help those people who want something more from their life. So that is who this is for, really, right? um, on the first level, like to be qualified for this, you need to have a graduation degree and good communication skills. If you go a little deeper, you're like, okay, if you want to build a technical career, this is not for you, so step aside. If you don't want to make a lot of money, this is again not for you, you can step aside. And then on the deepest level, it's like, if you want something ordinary, this is not for you. And I don't say that with you know being condescending or looking down on people who want ordinary. That is great. um, but that's not who this is for, right? Because there are a lot of ways that you could probably like, ordinary life is not difficult to read, like by definition most people are doing that, so you don't need a program, you don't need any training, you don't need anything to get that. This is for people who want more than that, people who have that itch that's like, I got to do something, right? And this is not what I'm looking for. I want something more, I want something more. Maybe you don't know what exactly it is, but you just don't want to settle, right? You want to live life king size, right? You get what I mean? If you get what I mean, then we're on the same page, and this is gonna be something that might help you out. Cool. So now that we've got out of the way who this is for, what exactly am I promising you here? I promise that through this training, through this process that we've developed, any young graduate with this, qualifications that I just mentioned can get to 1 lakh per month in 20 weeks. Right? So 20 weeks is like, uh, 5 months, right? 4 into 5, 20. Yeah, 5 months. Um, that's it, right? Next 5 months, you could absolutely turn your life around. And There's no upfront investment involved. You don't have to pay me anything to get started. Only when you start making your first salary, you start investing in us, right? And so what we've done here basically is we've flipped the investment cycle. Normally, how do things work? If you invest in something, you get that thing, and then you maybe get the benefit of the thing. So you pay for college tuition, you get the college studies, you get the degree, and then maybe you get a job, right? You buy a stock, you get that stock, maybe you make a profit if the prices go up. But we flipped that here. So what happens is you get the training, you get the job and the result of the training, and then you make an investment. And so what we do is we take all of the risk on ourselves because we've seen, man, we've seen the sort of transformation that this brings. And honestly, I don't want anyone to be like, oh, I really want this, but I can't do this because my parents won't go for it and I don't have the money to invest, right? We don't want affordability to be something that stops people who really want this. And that's why we've set up this structure. As I mentioned earlier, everything I'm doing is to help those who are seeking the extraordinary get closer to it. So that's what it's about, right? So that is what my promise basically to get you through this. No upfront investment, 1 lakh per month, 20 weeks, and we actually get you placed before 20 weeks. So if you're like, I can't stay next 5 months without a job, you don't have to. It's absolutely fine. It takes us around 3 weeks to get you placed, and then we coach you till you start making 1 lakh per month. So you can get started, you can land your job as early as 3 weeks later, right? And I hope that works for you. So now that that's done, we've discussed who this is for, what exactly you'll get. The third thing is how exactly will you get it? How do you get to 1 lakh per month, right? And as a fresher, there are a couple of ways, two main ways that I understand to get to 1 lakh per month, right, while doing a job. Either you have some highly technical skill, right? So if you're a CA, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're a software developer, you have some very technical skills, and companies will pay a lot of money for these skills, right? So you can leverage that and you can, get a good salary, even if not immediately 1 lakh per month. You might start off at, let's say, 8 LP, then 1 year later you switch, you get to 1 lakh per month. It's pretty much fine, right? And that is why I already said those sort of people, this is not a good option because you already have a different path to getting to 1 LPM. So unless you're like, oh my God, I just can't do that. I just can't do tech. I did a degree now. I don't want to do it at all. Um, it doesn't make sense for you to, be interested in this. But the second option you can use to get to 1 lakh per month is by delivering high value outcomes. If you can give someone something they really want, they're going to pay you a lot for it. And what do companies really want? Companies want money, right? That is what they want. And so if you can, for example, if you can come here and make me 10 lakh per month, I would happily pay you 1 lakh every month, right? I would not mind. It's like you're bringing me 10 lakhs of profit, you're asking for 1 lakh, take it, man, right? And the problem here is that you don't know how to make me 10 lakh rupees, right? And not every company is going to be paying you a lot. So what we do is are two things basically. First, we teach you the skills you need to start making more money for companies, and then second, we get you placed at companies where you get to keep some money, you get incentives based on how you're performing. So the more money you're making for a company, the more money you also get as a bonus, and not like a year end sort of bonus, like that, like it comes along with your salary every month, you get more. And so I just love that idea, man. That just, the feeling of power that has, right? Like I could decide today to perform better and I will make more money this month, right? Like in most jobs, like it's not even about how much money you're earning. It's like that control over it, man. Because see, if let's say you're a developer or something, I'm not dissing any profession. I'm just sharing what I feel. So if you're a developer and you have, let's say, good package, you have like 12 LPA, right? You're also making 1 lakh per month. But there's absolutely nothing you can do to make more money. Like if you're like, I want to go on a trip or I want to buy this new thing, I want more money, there's nothing you can do. You have no control, right? That is what I love about performance based roles. Like if I want more money, I know exactly what I need to do to get it. I don't have to wait 1 year for a 10% hike. I don't need to switch companies just to get some 15-20% hike. I don't need to do any of that. I just need to be great at my job. And what this does is, if you get paid more for being great at your job, then you have a strong incentive to learn, right? People say, I want to learn and earn and all that. But see, the obvious thing is, if you're working 8, 9 hours at a job, you are realistically not going to come home like, okay, now I'm going to study some random thing. You're going to study things that are going to be of immediate benefit to you. And so if you know, okay, by learning more about this thing, I can start making more money this month, you have a very high motivation to learn, right? So what I love is like there's a control to it. I can decide how much I'm going to be making this month. There's a sense of learning to it because now I have a real motivation to keep upskilling myself, right? And the third thing is that what I love about performance based roles is that the expectations are very clear. It's like, this is what we expect from you. Because, see, in every company, there are going to be expectations, right? If someone has hired you, someone is paying you every month, they expect some things from you. But in a lot of roles, that expectations aren't very clear. So, for example, when I used to work in marketing, suppose I was given a task like write an email sequence or something, I'd completed the task. They just give me one more task. Okay, now do this. Now do this. It's like the better I did something, the faster I did something, the more work I got. Would sort of encourage me to be lazy instead. Okay, like let me do work slowly, because if I do this thing in 2 hours today, then next time then they'll know it just takes 2 hours and they'll give me more work. If I take 5 hours to do this, then I don't have to work as hard. And what's the point of working hard anyway? Because I'm not going to get any extra money at the end of this. But with performance based was like, this is what you have to do. As long as you're doing it, there's no random task being thrown. Okay, do this as well, do that as well. It's like very clear cut. This is what we expect. Do this. Like, yeah, man, got it done. Boom. So that is what I like about these roles. And I'll tell you more about what exactly are these roles that we place in, right? So what we've done is we've partnered up with some of the most impactful edtech startups, right? There's a problem that has really bugged me for a long time, which is that colleges are a scam, right? Like they take money from you. More than that, they take years of your life, and they're taking 3 years of your life, 4 years of your life, and you're not left with anything really strong, right? Like they don't even guarantee you a job. Like you took 4 years and so much money, you can't, you're not taking responsibility for anything. So that just pisses me off, man. And I've seen these startups come up which are like, okay, there's a program, you do this program, it will take you 6 months or 8 months, and at the end of it, we guarantee you get a job. So I'm like, wow, man, that is something good, right? That is solving a real problem, because there are so many people in India who don't have a job, who are looking for jobs, and this is exactly the solution they need. So what we do is we've partnered up with some of the best companies in this, who have, this is what we call outcome based education, right? So we've partnered up with some of the best companies: Cryodo, Alma Better, Able Jobs. All of these are hiring partners. And what we do is we get you placed as admission counselors in these startups. So what does an admission counselor do? Well, I mentioned to you, like, these guys have programs, right, where they train students and get them placed. So whenever a student hears about the company or hears about the program, they want to know more. So they go on the website, they apply, they're like, okay, I want to talk to somebody and ask my questions and understand more about the program, decide if it's right for me or not. And so these companies have created a role called admission counselor, where you're the one talking to these students who are coming in, right? And you are responsible for guiding them on whether they should go ahead with this program or not. And for each student you bring in, you get a commission, right? So this commission depends on how many students you're bringing in. So, and a lot of there's specifics involved with that, but to give you a rough idea, you can expect to make around 6K for every student is coming in, right? Average employees here make like 3 sales a month, 3 students coming in every month, and so they've got like 18K in incentives alone. And the packages themselves have a fixed component as well. It's not like you're just living out of incentive. You have a fixed component of around 4 to 4.5 lakh, depending on the company, right? And depending on whether you have any experience or not. But generally, it's like capping out at 4.5. So that is what we do. We get you placed over here, and then we coach you till you start making a lot of sales, right? To start bringing in a lot of students, because the incentives you get keep on increasing. So, for example, let's suppose the program costs around 2 lakh rupees, and you sell it to one student comes in, they'll give you a 1% commission. But suppose you bring 3 students, they increase the commission to 3%. So earlier, at just one student, you were making 2,000 for a student. But now that we have three students, you're making 6,000 for each student. And so by the time you're making 5 to 6 sales a month, right, you're making roughly 70, 80,000. And on top of that, you have your fixed salary of around 30, 35,000, which, in total brings you to a grand total of 1 lakh per month, right? And you can go up from there, but I think 1 lakh per month is a pretty nice sounding milestone to set. You can go to 1.2, 1.5, whatever. But what we focus on is okay, let's get you here at least, right? And it is not rocket science. But let's be honest, right? Not every academic counselor is making 1 lakh per month, right? Like 80 to 90% of them are making somewhere between 40 to 50,000 only. And 10% of them are making 1 lakh per month. So what is the difference? Why are some people making so much more? And because they're selling the same program, they're getting the same lead. So why is there a difference in the outcome? And the difference in outcome, like in all areas of life, comes from skill. So what is the skill here? The skill here is persuasion. Persuasion is the ability to get people to agree with you, and this is something you're going to use everywhere in life. So if you were a kid and you were talking to your mom to let you go out and play, you're persuading her. If you're talking to your manager trying to get him to give you a promotion or give you a leave, you're trying to persuade him or her. So throughout life, this is a skill you have always used and will always be using. The only thing is, are you using it well or are you using it poorly? And how well you're using it decides whether you get what you want or not. Because throughout our life, we are going to be interacting with people, right? And a lot of times we need other people to agree with us. You want your friend to go to Goa, you need to persuade them, right? You want to persuade people to get on board, get behind your idea, get behind your project, agree to a request. Anytime you're doing any of these things, what are you doing? You're persuading. And this is the skill that we teach you to do well. And if you can do it well, what happens? The student agrees with you, they joins the program, you get more money. But even more important than getting money, man, because I've always seen money as two things. First, money is a tool to access experiences. That's what it really is. Um, Money isn't something you just keep and just lock it in a safe or something. Like you do that also, but the main thing is you spend money so that you can get something. So you're paying rent, so you get the experience of staying in that place for one more month. You're paying money so that you get the experience of eating a certain food or traveling to a certain place. So every time, what are you doing? You're trading money for an experience. The second role of money is proof of contribution, right? People don't just give you money. Like there's three ways to get money. One is to steal it, one is to beg for it, and the third is to earn it. And how do you earn money? You earn money by doing something for someone else. So any person who has earned money honestly, what they have is proof that they've contributed, that they've served the society, that they've served their fellow man, and they've helped someone else, right? Because if you're getting a commission, why are you getting a commission? Because you helped that student start their journey and change their career, right? They were maybe just completed BCom, struggling to get a job, getting 25, 30K offers. They wanted to be a software developer. No one was considering their profile. Now they joined the program, they study, and they end up getting placed and starting a career. So the biggest winner here is not you who got 6 grand for that. You are not the biggest winner. The biggest winner is the student whose career changed, man, just because you talked to him and you were able to guide him properly. And I think the impact of what you're doing over here is, there's an element of nobility to it when you're doing it properly. And again, that's the thing we address in the training as well. Ethical persuasion. Don't sell something to someone who doesn't need it, right? We Some people have this idea of sales as being something pushy. You just go and you keep on forcing the other person to buy. First of all, that doesn't work, right? People will just ghost you, they'll block you, they won't listen to you. You can't force people to buy, right? Even if you do, they'll get a refund. 2 days later, 3 days later, they'll call and they'll get a refund. And if they don't get a refund, they'll leave a bad review. So imagine you sell something to somebody and 2 days later they're asking for a refund. and they end up leaving a bad review saying, okay, these salespeople are like this and that, the program is not what they told me it will be, whatever. Because ultimately they didn't have a good experience, right? And now you're talking to another guy who is actually interested in the program, for whom it is a good fit. But that guy reads the review of the bad customer, right? The unhappy customer is like, oh, maybe these guys are not good. And so he doesn't buy. So, you screwed yourself over twice. Once by forcing one person to buy, wasting his time, his energy, a company's resources, because eventually he got a refund anyway. And secondly, you screwed over the other guy who was about to join, but because of that bad review, he chose not to. So, being pushy in sales does not help anybody, right? And yeah, just to clarify that what we focus on, what we train you in is ethical persuasion. You won't be forcing anyone to buy. What you will be doing is helping people to make the decisions that are best for them. So if the best decision is to not buy the program, then it's to not buy the program. That is absolutely fine. There's a million other people waiting, right? Um, but if the best decision is to buy the program, then you have to stop them from getting their own way. Because a lot of times we know what the good things are, but we procrastinate, right? You know, okay, I should be hitting the gym and getting fit, but you procrastinate, you don't do it, you come up with excuses. You're like, I should be, watching some good things instead of wasting time on Instagram, but you're not doing it. So all throughout life, we're making bad decisions, which end up costing us. Your responsibility is to help them make good decisions that get them further ahead in life and closer to what they want to achieve. So that's your role as the Superman, to help these people help themselves, right? And that is pretty much it. So this is how you get to it. You get placed as an admission counselor. Once you become great at persuasion, you'll start getting easily 6 to 7 sales a month. Now, easily means straightforward. It is not rocket science, but it does take effort, right? You will have to work a lot. You'll be working 60, 70 hours a week, which is again why I said if you don't have that itch, it's very difficult, right? Like if you're like, yeah, man, why am I working, 60 hours a week when I could just be making 40 grand and doing some normal job, right? Because those questions are going to come. And so if you don't have a very strong reason why to do it, why it's so important, then you're probably going to leave at that point, right? So I'll give you some good questions at the end of this training as well to help you decide in a better manner, like help you gain clarity about what exactly it is that you want, but that comes towards the end. So let's discuss that later. Um, yeah, we've covered who this is for, what you'll get, how you'll get it, and the fourth thing is, how you can get started, how you can work with us. So how does working with us look like? We have a pretty straightforward arrangement. You join our program, we work with you for 3 weeks, we get you placed, then we continue working with you for the next 17 weeks, or till you get to your first 1 lakh, whichever happens first. Even after that, if you want to stay in touch, obviously we would love to. And the great thing is, like, we're based out of Bangalore, and the companies you're going to get placed at are also going to be in Bangalore. So most of you guys will probably get a chance to meet me and meet my team, and that would be pretty fun. That would be a great experience. And the thing is, we can't work with everyone, right? We promise a great outcome, and I'm very, very particular about the promises I make. I don't want to be in a situation where someone comes and says, "I you should promise this," and you didn't do it. I don't like being in that situation. So we're not working with a lot of students at once, right? At this time, we have a strict limitation of 8 students per batch. And there's not like some marketing technique to create fake scarcity. If you get selected, you will genuinely see that there are only 7 other people with you in that batch, right? And we have a qualification process as well. So there are a couple of things that I'd like to know about you to understand if you're someone I want to invest in. And I think these questions are something that are going to be helpful for you as well. They're going to help you get some clarity around what exactly you want from a career, what exactly you want from life at this stage, and help you get a sense of motivation as well. Like, what is at stake? What happens if I get to 1 LPM? What happens if I don't get there, right? What is going on? Because I think there's two kinds of motivation really. Like, we think the main motivation is motivation to get something. I want to be great. I want to get a six pack. I want this. we think that is the motivation. But the stronger motivation is actually fear, fear of not getting there. So the fear of, okay, what if I become ordinary? I think for me personally, being extraordinary is something I want. I really want it. But even stronger than that is my fear of being ordinary. Like there's a million people, billion people living on this planet, and I'll just be one of them with no stories to share, nothing exciting, just boring, dull life. Oh my God, I don't want that, right? I'll take whatever risk I need to, I'll go through whatever pain I need to, I'll go through all the challenges, but I just don't want that. I want to be like when I'm 70 and my grandkids come to me and I tell them my stories, they're like, I wish you're lying, and that's not true. And then I'm like, okay, open Google, I'll show them the Wikipedia page, and like, okay, this is really what happened. Wow, like I want those kind of stories. So that is the fear is of being ordinary, and that is way stronger than the desire to be extraordinary. So if you're aiming at anything, you have to know what is at stake. And I also need to understand that so that I can decide if I want to invest in you or not. So communication skills, obviously, we need to check. Um, Graduation degree, I think it's pretty obvious. Like you would know if you have a graduation degree or not. Um, but we have an application form. It will take around 10 minutes probably for you to think about it and fill it out. But we do require that, and based on that, we'll decide if it's a good fit for us to work together or not, right? So again, the investment details and all, how much you need to pay us, how that works, we'll work it out. Ultimately, just for the sake of argument, if you're getting an opportunity to make 4 lakhs per annum right now, right? You're getting a 4 LP opportunity right now. We get you to 12 LPA. The difference here, you've gained 8 LPA, you've gained 8 lakhs by joining our program, right? If we ask you for 4 lakhs, that would still make sense. You would still be 4 lakhs richer. We're not going to ask you for 4 lakhs, but I just want you to see the sort of massive gain that is here, right? So whatever the charges are, they're going to be lower than 4 lakhs. Um, but I think the main question is always going to be, is it worth it, right? Like, and do you feel confident about that? So apply. We'll have a call if you get selected, and I'll walk you in detail as well how exactly the process works, what all measures we have to make it impossible for you to not reach 1 LPM, right? How do we make it impossible for you to fail? That's what I'll share with you on the call if you get selected. Hopefully, you've gotten enough information right now to decide if this is something you want or not. And if you haven't, you can still, check our LinkedIn or check our YouTube channels, or check my Instagram, where you can find some more content as well to help you make a decision. And yeah, I hope I lived up to my promise. I hope you felt like you learned something new from this call. I don't know exactly how much time it took. If it took more than 20 minutes, I'm really sorry. I don't script these conversations. I go genuine, heart to heart. That is the only way I know to talk. And thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for trusting with your time. And even if you don't want to join the program, if you just know someone for whom this can be a great opportunity, feel free to share. And if you just want to stay connected with me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can connect with me on Instagram as well. My ID is Ayush AAYUSH underscore PRIYANK. And I'd be happy to, be connected with you. So that's it. Nice knowing you. Peace. Bye bye.